All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Wednesday, April 15th. 2 minutes until the cash open. Let's go. Ceasefire in Lebanon to be announced tonight for 1 week. N12 News citing El Mehadin quotes an Iranian source. So maybe credible. Maybe. Got a little jump up on that news. So this is all going to be just news and event-driven headline market action. See what the market has entailed today. We've seen a pretty good run up in the last 2 days, driven by positive news on Iran. See if that news flow continues. We're starting to develop a pretty decent looking distribution up here around 7,000 with the POC like literally right at 7,000. I mean, we were speculating yesterday and the day before that the market up here needs to find some balance and create some structure in which it can launch and do higher price discovery. But it kind of needs to find balance. It can't just be chopping around up here forever without finding balance, because if it doesn't find balance, it's just going to retrace and come back down. But I want to see what happens here during the US cash session, see where the absorption comes in, see where the volume comes in at. I mean, I got to suspect that we are attempting to find balance, and finding balance around a nice, good, solid whole number like 7,000 seems reasonable to me. So, but again, I want to see where like the absorption comes in this morning. See if there's any heavy sell pressure, any heavy buy pressure, and where it comes in at relative to the 7,000 distribution that we're looking at. And I don't want to just jump into anything too crazy too early. We've already had some size come in right at the open at 14 and quarter. But that was probably a market on open transaction, so we're not going to weigh that too heavily. Let's see where the large transactions come in today. If they're market buyers or market sellers, well, let's just take it easy. Let the auction tell us where it wants to go. Trump on Iran. China is very happy that I am permanently opening the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, are you permanently opening? It was open before, bro. Anyway, let's see what develops here, where absorption comes in. I don't want to speculate just right now whether or not we should be short or long. I probably favor shorts if the distribution is in fact forming around 7,000. But we kind of have to find the top of the range a little bit first, and I want to see repeated tests of that upper bounds before we consider just blindly taking a short here and saying like, 15s is too high and 7,000 is a better value. I mean, we're too early in this auction today to speculate on that. So again, no major economic headlines coming out this morning. We got to be wary of any Trump or Iran headlines. We got crude oil inventories coming out at 10:30 that may impact equity markets just because of the whole Iran situation. But let's just see kind of what develops here. Volume within the first minute was kind of low, 14,000. Generally, you want to see over 15,000. So, I mean, it's not bad. Once you get around 10,000, sub 10,000, then you should be really concerned. That means like the price is likely not balanced, and we're going to enter into price discovery mode because that's not a lot of volume. That's not a lot of liquidity. But we saw flashes of the solar divergence. You had it pre-market. You got little flashes of it, but nothing that held. And all the volume that seems to be coming in just seems to be fairly balanced. All the volume's coming in here around the POC at 15. And so it's lifting price, it's pushing price down, it's lifting price. So that just means pretty much balance for now. We saw a buyer step in a big way yesterday around 6,975-ish. And then also stepped in heading into the close around 6,985. A lot of activity here on the offer, but the volume still seems to be lifting or holding price at the moment. Again, like even I'm like mostly entertaining shorts here because I do think that we're going to find balance here around 7,000. It just seems very reasonable to me. I don't just want to go ahead and just start trying to pick the top here. I want to see signs of absorption. I want to see the volume come in and start to suppress price and push it back down. I don't just want to say, okay, well, too high and sell. That's not a good strategy. I've seen no large transactions come in other than the one that came in right at the open. So kind of want to wait to see where the institutions kind of position themselves today. That over the last 2 days, they've been mostly all just bullish. There's only been a few large transactions with over 100 contracts transacted on the sell side. It's mostly all been on the buy side for the last 2 days. Don't see what happens today. Get excited. So not a whole lot going on right now. Volumes are relatively muted. We're already drifting down towards 5,000 per every minute. Volume that comes in is still kind of holding the price. Don't want to jump in along and chase this either. I kind of want to see where the flow comes a little bit this morning. I don't really want to have too much of a pre-market narrative or bias coming into this. But you're seeing the flashes of the seller absorbance. Now you get the volume coming in, pushing prices lower. The absorption didn't really hold. A large transaction at 20 for 156 contracts, which wicked the high. So this was a large transaction that got absorbed. I don't want to read too much into that. That's essentially the first large transaction outside of the open minute. And it was right at the highs. And the volume that came in pushed price lower. So let's see if volume comes in and continues to push price lower. Again, I want to see more definitive action on behalf of sellers. I don't want them just reacting to high prices. I want them actively trying to push prices lower. And that's a big difference when it comes to order flow and auction theory, is whether you're being reactive at a price and whether or not you're being an initiator at price. Because it's one thing for me to sell it at 720. It's another thing for me to continue to sell it at 719, 18, all the way down. But hovering around 5,000 contracts per minute now. It's not bad, but it's not great either. Lots of new, what do we got? Pakistani delegation on way to Iran to convey U.S. message and plan for second round of talks. Yeah, I mean, we knew kind of that there was going to be another round of talks. We got the volume that came in here that pushed price higher. Again, we just don't have enough information here to make any trading decisions just yet. Like, I want to lean bearish around this whole hypothesis that we're going to balance around 7,000. But until it gets confirmed with order flow, we're not doing anything about it. Like, I want to see that seller absorption holds. I want to see the volume come in and definitively push price lower. Had some additional size coming in at 17 3/4 for 110 contracts. It was on the sell side. So large transactions as of now are mixed for the most part. And the volume here, that's a good amount of volume that came in at 19 3/4, and it just held up the price. But I don't want to, if I want to get long, I don't want to chase prices higher. I want to see like a dip, potentially out of value in a low volume area. I want to see absorption, volume come in and push price higher if we're really entertaining the long idea today. But I would like price to make a move in some direction first. I don't want to just jump into something while we're kind of in this balanced normal distribution range right here. This is pretty normalized distribution. We got volume coming in. Like if we're really entertaining the long idea today, we want to see large transactions come in and lifting price, right? Like just kind of like we saw the last 2 days where the institutions were behind the move. Large transactions over 100 contracts came in and lifted price. So no large transactions have come in on this move trying to lift price right here. Potentially the bullish theme continues here because this order flow at the moment is bullish, right? The volume that came in here lifted price, the volume that came in here lifted price, the volume that came in here lifted price. But it's not looking like an imbalance continuation as of this moment, right? We're not getting like the straight, strong drive that we had yesterday at the open. While it's progressing up, it's not like the strong drive with lots of institutional order flow behind it. And it doesn't seem to be the case this morning. But we got to keep an eye on the news flow this morning. Because I mean, one tweet can just send the markets reeling. So the volume that comes in is still pushing price higher. This is not, if we want to get long, this isn't the place to do it. All right, we want structure to trade from. So if we progress a little higher without strong signals of seller absorption or seller stepping in to push price lower, 21 low volume area becomes somewhat decent. All right, because if this is strongly bullish, they're not going to want to go back into the value. But I mean, we've seen flashes of the seller absorption all the way up here, right? We haven't seen much on the buyer side absorption. And like, I don't even think we got flashes of it down here in the 16s and 15s. All right, so we did have volume come in towards these highs and it did push price lower. We had seller diversions hold. So let's see if there's other pushes up here, whether or not the volume continues to come in and push it down, and whether or not volume comes in lower below 24 and pushes price lower, right? Do you close now below this? All right, these are strong absorption numbers. These are, 650s, nothing to, take lightly. It's a pretty heavy print. But we want more confirmation that we should be short here. We don't have enough yet. All right, this could just be responsive selling. They're saying like, hey, 25 is a good price for us. We're willing to absorb your buys here, but are we willing to sell 24s, 23s and down? Like the volume that came in here didn't really push price down. So let's see what happens in this minute, whether or not, or the large volume comes in at, whether or not it holds price up like it is now, or it pushes price down. So large volume here, push price down. So if we come up here and start seeing more signs of seller absorption, we'll definitely put on a low position, put in a sell. I mean, I would think that we're going to test the top of the upper range from yesterday at 706. But let's see if we can get a little retracement up. Let's not just sell now. I mean, this is a pretty decent quick rejection. I mean, we did not spend a lot of time up here. So ideally what I want to see now is us come back up into this low volume area at 21 and resist that and get absorbed. And then we'll use that as a platform to get short. But I'm not chasing this. Right, I was kind of just waiting to see where the area was where sellers would absorb and whether or not they would take the initiative to push price lower with volume, and they did. But I would like to see if there's now the retest of the area, trying to get back up into this small volume distribution and then failing to do so around 2021. Ideally, that's what I want to happen. All right, because we have not seen any flashes of the buyer stepping in as of yet. All right. And I mean, price is going to get to our target before you have any chance to enter. All right, so you got a flash of the buyers at the low, trying to hold up price. But the volume comes in and just continues to push price lower. Again, we're not going to chase this short. We want retracements. If we can get into low volume areas, ideally you want to be up at 720 to start adding short positions. But I mean, I don't know if the market's going to let you get there. We're getting the size coming in at 715. Now again, it coming in at 11. All right, there's big institutions behind this. It looks like they're pushing price down. We had come in first at 17 and 3/4 at 936, but then we made the highs, right? Yeah, that was before we made the highs. Yeah, now, yeah, the sellers are hammering this. All right, and now we're tested the highs from yesterday. We got this little low volume area in between the two areas now. POC from yesterday, mostly comprised of MOC volume, but around 702. I mean, so you'll see a natural bounce off of that, like this area here. And let's see if we can come back up towards today's value area, if we can get up towards 7016. Like, I don't think now, if this is strongly bearish, right? If we've now seen institutional order flow, which we have, just all be on the bear side, I wouldn't suspect that you let price get up to 21, right? It'll barely get back into value, right? So around 13, maybe lucky if you get 16. So if we see absorption on the behalf of sellers somewhere up in 15, like somewhere in here, right? I want like 12, 11. We see it up here, we can start taking the positions. Because we don't see any significant volume coming in to lift price. See, like the volume on this pushed price down. There's some volume came in here, barely held up price. Volume came in here, suppressed price. Now the volume in here is also suppressing price. No signs of large buyers. Regional mediators push for extended U.S.-Iran ceasefire, blah, 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 but progress slow. Yeah, I get it. That's from the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, progress is going to be slow. So you're still getting the bearish order flow here. The volume that's coming in is still suppressing price. So you kind of want this. If you're bearish, I want to get a better price for my sell. This doesn't strike me as a bottom. This is a very broken. Wasn't a very strong conviction on behalf of buyers. Yeah, you got the absorption here, but again, everything that we're saying about when the volume comes in is just suppressing price. Right, the volume that comes in here suppresses price. And the open was at 712, right? Just about. Yeah, right in here. So we're kind of in that area that we'll start now entertaining putting on positions. We want to see the sellers re-engage. I want to see absorption. I want to see the volume that comes in suppresses price. Right now it's lifting price. And we suspected like 716 would be good. We didn't think we'll get up to 21. But right in this area, 16, we thought we'd be in a good position to sell. Volume's coming in and it's holding up price a little bit here. Again, flashes the diversions on the sell side, but the volume here needs to hold price down, not up. Which you're kind of getting. How much time did this close? 9 seconds. Just want to give this a little more time to see if we can't get 16. I don't know if we will. All right, if the volume that comes in here also suppresses price, like it kind of did here, it held it. It didn't let it get above. Like I think we're willing to just put a piece on. Still, everything has been on the sell side. 0.575 was the lowest one right here. And 06, which was here. Then 08, 010. Yeah, the volume is just pushing it lower. So I will limit sell at 12. 1 quarter P. I gotta turn the speaker off. Stop it at 25. That's just a catastrophic stop. 12.20, 12.22. Yeah, that's fine. Doesn't really matter. We'll close that out before then. So we're short 1 position, quarter position at 12. All right, just because this was the area we were talking about. If sellers are strong, they're going to start resisting price once it comes back into the lower part of value, which it is. The volume that came in suppressed price. I'm not overly convinced yet, so this is why we're a quarter position and not a half position, because you do see signs of the buyers trying to step in at the value area lows. Where a lot of size came in on the sell side was 11 and below, right? We're above that now. All right, so were those big sellers just all absorbed? Like there's a potential for that. So we're going to keep things a little small for the moment. I want to see more signs of seller diversions, right? I want to be more convicted here. And my conviction is not very strong just yet. All right, again, flashes of the buyer divergence. At the top, 705. Like this 11 to 8 is now a crucial zone because this is where the large sellers were. 11 down to 8. All right, you stay above this and you hold this and you get absorption on the buy side going into this. I mean, you might get a rocket ship higher. And the volume that's coming in right here is lifting price right at the value area low, which is not great. And we kind of quickly rejected down here. So just keeping a quarter position for right now. Not going to do anything crazy with it. I'm not overly convicted one way or the other based on this order flow, other than to say that you stay below 10 and 11 is probably bearish. All right, so we're still short, just a quarter position at 12. If we come back up into 10 and we see more volume come in and push price lower, might add to it. All right, but I want to stay below 10 and 11 for sure. I don't want to see massive volume coming in and lifting price either. Because, I mean, we can easily get through 705. So a lot of that volume was created on market on close orders yesterday. And the real strength came in at 985, 990 on S&Ps yesterday towards the close. But we have not seen any large institutions come in and try to buy this up yet. We got the large volume that lifted price, so that's not good for our bearish stance. Right, this volume here that pushed price lower, right, is kind of the line in the sand for higher prices. Right, 10, now it's 11 through 10, like this region right here. If the bears can't keep this under this, yeah, I mean, you're probably going to go test the highs again and see if sellers are willing to re-engage, because they have not really re-engaged much lower. They were pretty active up here at 24s and 25s, but they have not really followed this down. And volume that's coming in is now just lifting price. So we're still short a quarter position at 12. You know, we're testing the waters here a little bit, just because we have not seen any institutional size come in on the buy side. It's all been on the sell side. All right, but they're trying to get price back down to where it is that they sold. And you're getting flips of absorption here. So this isn't very clear to me as to which way the market kind of wants to go. You're dragging value lower ever so slightly, not gangbusters. Again, this could just be a range type fill-in. Like, again, we said we're probably going to find balance maybe around 7,000. That distributively, like, this kind of looks clean, where the high of the distribution will be 25, the low will be 985, and you'll center around 7,000. If that's the case, then you're just going to chop up here between 25 and 05 over the next couple of days, right, as you fill that in. I mean, this is absorption type behavior here, right? This is all being done on the offer. Price isn't lifting. But we can't stay below this 10, 11 area. All right, you really want to see sellers step in here. Because they stepped in at 24, 25, and they were going to be aggressive about it. They'll step in here too in the middle of value. You don't want to see much signs of buyer absorption here, at least strong numbers. We don't want strong numbers. We don't want like a 500 print on buyer absorption. That'd be not good. But we also have not seen buyers step in any meaningful way here at the lows to really carry price higher, at least not in the institution size. No large transactions over 100 contracts on the buy side whatsoever after 935. It's all been sell side. Yeah, I'm still not willing to add. All right, we're kind of like in this like flip-flop of an area. I want to see the market move in one direction or the other, and then we'll engage a little heavier. But right now, just floating the quarter position short at 12 is fine. I'll be quick to close it if this gets going in the wrong direction. And POC is right at the value area low. All right, all the volumes being built down here. I mean, it's pretty anemic though. We're starting to get below 3,000 contracts for every minute. And the volume up here was much heavier. So the market is going to go look for that liquidity. It's going to go look for where the heavy. So this is a pretty heavy divergence print. Not great. Right. We're talking about being able to hold this 11 and 10 area right here, because this is where the sellers came in on this large drop. And so now we're holding above it. Yeah, I mean, the short thesis is dead here. So I'm going to scratch it. So we're out at 15.5. So we're short at 12, out at 15.5. Very quarter position, very small loss. All right, just testing the waters. Once we're more convicted on this order flow, which I mean is now leaning bullish, right? We can't get out of the value area low. All the selling that mostly happened down here at 11 through 08, it was held. You could not get back below it. All the volume that's coming in is now lifting the price. You got divergence, a bigger print here. So I would like to get a lower price for a long if we can get. Just the sellers are not really re-engaging at lower prices and taking the initiative to drive this lower. They're willing to respond up here at 24 and 25, which will be a good target for longs, but it doesn't seem they're willing to take things lower today, despite all the bid activity at 11 and below. They all just got trapped. All right, so you're probably going to see a little bit of a run up here. All the volume that's coming in is lifting price. I mean, maybe we can put a little something on at 15. Right at 15. Maybe 15 and a half. Try it out. All right, this is bullish order flow for sure. So I'll put a limit in it at 15 and a half. I don't think, I mean, we can make the argument that this should be like a half position. Right? Because if it is, catastrophic stops all the way down here. But I want to at least get filled at 15 and a half first. But all this volume that's coming in is just lifting price right now. All right, this is enough absorption at the lows. You dipped right outside value and quickly snap back in. And then this was a very quick snap back in with the volume coming in at the lows. Just I would like to get a better price for potentially building a long position up here. Because you know sellers are going to react up here at 24 and 25. This will be the first target for a long. But this could also just be chopped now. In between 05 and 25, we could just chop back and forth and build volume here. And volume's coming in. It's pushing price back down. POC is now moved. All right, I'm going to cancel my limit order because now we need to confirm that the volume is going to lift price. I don't want to just blindly, because 15 is not good structure to trade from. All right, we're just right in the middle of value. This is just, you know, whole lot of nothing right here. So once we see volume coming in, if volume wants to come in and start lifting price again. 5, 945. Yeah, nothing new on the large transactions. Again, they're still all down here, 11 and below for the most part. Pretty decent volume coming in here. Near the value area low. Lots of absorption coming in here. Let's see where we close relative to this. This is pretty substantial volume right here at a single price level. Yeah, I think I want to engage on the long side. All right, so I'll buy it at 15 and a quarter. I'll put my stop at 5 and a quarter just for in case there's adverse news. All right, this is this. The buyers stepped in higher. The volume came in and lifted price. We're near the value area low. Only a quarter position. If we kind of had that happen, like right here, we went outside of value and quickly snapped back into value with that amount of volume coming in to lift price, I would strongly consider a half position. But we know, like, we've already, like, this was light seller resistance here, right? And you're kind of on like the top side of that seller resistance. We know they're going to come in with a little more force up at 24, 25. So I would like to get another position in, at least half position, and target at least a 24, 25s with a quarter of it. Or, you know, like a half of the half position. So a quarter total position. So the volume that came in here still lifted price. We don't want to see heavy seller divergence. Again, we'll keep it light. This is just, we're chopping here. Okay, so we don't want to be taking full positions. Like we already tried just a little attempt at the short and it didn't work, right? Because once we got started out of value, it just quickly snapped back in. So if sellers aren't willing to continue this lower, are buyers willing to try to take a stab at the highs again? I don't know. This could just be chopped today. We've had a pretty good run up in these last 2 days. And that's pretty heavy seller divergence stepping in here. So we had large size coming in at 15 at 10:02. So that's this right here. All right, sellers came in below and they couldn't hold. So now let's see if the buyers hold. See if any more size comes in on the run up. But right now, I don't see us adding to the long position. Just keep it long with a quarter position. Not strongly convicted on this. I don't want to jump into super large positions when I don't really have strong conviction one way or the other right now based on this order flow. It's kind of mixed. Like the large institutional transactions got absorbed on the sell side, but I haven't seen buyers like really step in meaningfully to carry this higher. But if we do another test of like the value area low, quickly reject it, come back into value on volume that lifts price, we'll add to the position at least another quarter position, so a full half, and then target the highs at 24.25. But in for a quarter position at 15.25 now. And I see the volume that's coming in is lifting price a little bit. It's not pushing it down. More divergence here. I would have liked it to be a little bit lower for that to have happened down here a little bit to add my second position, but I'm really tempted now to add this to a full half after what that just did. So long as you close above there, no guarantee that you did. It looked better a second ago than it does now, but still good flashes of the divergence. Let's just see if we can get a better fill on the second half to take long, but the order flow needs to confirm this. All right, we're in an area where the bulls have stepped in. It's this area right outside of value. Bulls step in here. Let's see if they do this at the value area low. A bunch of volume comes in here and price stays above it, and we'll add right at the value area low and kind of the area that I wanted to see it at, right here at the value area low. Yeah, which looks like, yeah, this is strong divergent numbers. Yeah, all right, just give me a little dip to get in now. I don't want to chase it too much. So let's see if we can buy more at 15.25. Yeah, filled some more at 15.25. Stop still at 5.25. All the way down here. There's plenty of wiggle room. Half position now. Looking long. I just want to retest these highs. See if the sellers re-engage. They did not follow price lower, and the buyers are pretty holding firm here for the most part. Anytime the volume comes in here near the value area low, it's lifting price. That's a good sign. That's pretty bullish order flow. But now you had more sellers coming in at 14.75 right here. All right, so a little mixed around this, around the POC. You're getting large transactions on both sides, it looks like. Ideally, you want to see the volume come in, lift the price, and then we want to see the large orders come in as this price starts to lift. But I do like this. I think the probabilities are definitely on our side on this one, right? Because we had the resistance up here at 24 and 25. There was sellers that came in and absorbed, right? But look at this run down out of value. This was a strong attempt to move out of value and quickly snap back into value. You did it one more time, quickly snap back into value, right? You want the quick snaps of rejection. And anytime the volume comes in, it lifts the price, which it did. And it's done it again here. All right. So we were looking for a continuation of the short and it didn't hold. Right. And we recognize that. And then so we've now swapped what it is that we're doing. We're not attempting to take this short. We're now looking for price to hold above the value area high or value area low and then make another attempt at the highs. That's essentially our trade thesis right now. We don't want to see very aggressive sellers coming in at lower prices. We want to see them allow price to drift up towards 24.25. But we'll just take it easy and see what happens. So half position's fine for now. As we start adding more, we're going to have to tighten the stop. All right, we go full position at 15. The stop's going to be at like 10. That's going to be too close. So we got a half position, which is kind of bouncing around here, the POC. I think the bullish case is stronger than the bearish case, at least up until we get into the mid-20s, 24, 25. All right, because down here in the 13s and 12s, I don't think this is a good short whatsoever. I'll move. We're in at 15 and a quarter. We're right above our entry average price. Since we're looking to at least sell a quarter position at like 24-ish, 24 and a half, somewhere up here, right? It depends when we see sellers come in. If we see sellers come in aggressively up here, might ditch the whole position, not just a quarter of it. Again, but I want to see what the flow looks like when we get up here. And I think our stop is still far enough away that if there's some adverse news spike, we're still protected. Right, our stop's down here for catastrophic purposes at 705 and a quarter. All right, we're all the way down here. Right, price really struggled to get out here. And it's good news that we're not seeing any major volume coming in and pushing price lower. And this has been pretty heavy divergence on the buy side versus the sell side, right? Until we get up to 24 and 25. But institutions, it doesn't look like they're really trending the market right now. This is, I'm guessing, just a fill-in, right? We're now creating the balance area for the rest of the week here between 25 and 985 right here. So we're just looking for a move to the top of the range, and like that's essentially it. And we'll move our stop. If we get up into the 2021s, we'll move our stop to break even. All right, because we're not really looking for a huge move, I don't think. I really don't think so. And all this volume that's coming in, it's still pushing price down. Yeah, it's quite a bit of volume right there. So you had the volume lift price here, but you had the volume up here suppressing price. And that's what a balanced range kind of looks like, right? You get down towards the value area low, buyers step in, get near the value area high, and the sellers step in. It's pretty standard. I might have to go rotate laundry here in a minute. We'll see, but I don't want to go rotate my laundry when we're making trading decisions. So definitely a good read of where the absorption came in. I think we're on the right side, at least with the probabilities that we're more likely to test range highs than we are to test range lows, because we just tested the range lows and the quick rejections out of it told you that participants really weren't able to drag prices lower despite the large institutional sells, which all got absorbed. The whole string between below 11, they started selling at 11 and then down to 05 and they all got trapped. But we're seeing the volume that's coming in up here around 08 is just suppressing price. So we could very easily go test the value area low before we get up here to the range highs. Could easily happen. But I'm not moving my stop yet. even though this is just like a slow, methodical grind higher. I don't want to exit any portion of it just yet. All right, in for a half position at 15.25. Done over 2 transactions. I mean, part of me wants to cut the risk a little bit because the volume that's coming in up near 18, 19s is kind of holding price a little bit. But you got to protect ourselves from the news volatility spikes. All right, and that is pretty good that the volume comes in here and it's not quickly rejecting. So still in at 15.25. I said I was going to move at 20 to break even. All right, we got the 20 print. But this is the POC. We can very easily could just come back to the POC. Buyers stepping in here, it looks like. Volume that's coming in is still lifting price. I think we're okay moving our stop to at least break even. So I'm going to move my stop to 15.5 on the full half position. I think that's the right decision. And then I kind of want to sell just part of it at 23 if we get 23 offered. Because I don't like this structure right here, right? Because this is kind of smooth slope here, and then you have this little low volume area. A lot of times that can be the resistance points to price. But I mean, if there's no sellers step in here. All right, well, so let's move our stop now back below in value to 18.5 on the full half position. All right, so we're in at 15.25. I move full stop to 18.5 right back below the value area high. If I see flashes of seller divergence up here at 24 and 25 again with a heavy print, like we had 385 and 600 something up here, right? If we see anything like that again right now, I'm exiting at least a quarter of the position market. If not the full thing. Okay, I'm still comfortable with 18.5 on the full half stop. Like this didn't, a lot of volume came in up here, but it didn't immediately reject price. Right, and we're not seeing the very strong seller divergence that we had on these last tests higher. You could get a nice little pop up higher here if sellers don't step in. But if I see a strong seller divergent print, like maybe over 100 or so here, we'll exit a quarter and then leave a quarter at 18.5. But if this market wants to get crazy and shoot higher, I'm willing to just let it and ride with the half. So we had some size coming at 21 and 22.75. That's good news for a long, right? Because you're following price higher. You don't want price to now stay below this. You want price to stay above this. All right, starting to see a little divergence. Move my stop up to last big order, low size 721. I'll do 20. Do 20 on the full half stop. So we'll move up to 20. So now you're getting the flashes of the strong seller divergence. So I will sell a quarter here, I think at 24. Try to get 24.5. I'm going to try to get 24.5. I'm not going to get it. Try 24. So give me 24. So full stop at 20. Trying to get out at 24 if we can for at least a quarter of it. I mean, that divergent print wasn't too good, right? But I mean, that is some decent volume up there. So I am willing to let a quarter of this half position go at 24. See if it gets filled. And then I'll change the stop at 720 to the quarter position that remains. right back in value. If bulls are strong, they're not going to let it get back in value. So we're just ticking right below 24. It was like 23.75 is what it was, the rotational high on that. Let's try to get out at 23.50. So I'll drop the limit order just a little bit. It just keeps on rotating to the tick below my limit order. This is fucking annoying. Like we're getting seller divergence up here. I'm okay letting a quarter go here, right? And the rest of the remaining quarter will be hopes and dreams. Like it rotated it into 23.50. I didn't get filled though. Okay, so we're out at 23.50 on the quarter. This just needs to be a quarter stop at 20. So we're long at 15 and a quarter. Rest of the stop at 20. This is going to be a loose stop based on order flow. I mean, but the sellers are stepping in here again. And I don't know if the buyers are going to be really willing to take this much higher. Right? You don't hold 21, these large transactions at 21. I mean, and go back into value at 20. Yeah. So, all right, out of the full position at 20. Good trade. All right. All right. So now I'm going to go rotate my laundry now that we don't really have another trading decision, I don't think, to make right at this moment. But overall, I mean, perfect. That's exactly what we want to see out of a trade like that. Right. They attempted rotations outside of value that just got quickly rejected, right? This is quick rejections. You go snap right back into value, snapped right back into value. All the volume came in at the lows out of value and lifted price, right? And it was at like this moment, like, okay, our shorts are kind of screwed, right? And we wanted to see if buyers could hold it. Once we saw up here, buyers weren't able to hold. We exited our quarter short position from 12, got out at 15. And then once we saw the buyers really stepping in, combined with the fact that you made the attempt out of value, got quickly rejected, volume comes in at the value area low, rejects price, and we take long for a half position, right? And we look towards this area where sellers last time came in with absorption. And then since they came in again with more absorption, we're just willing to let it go, right? We let go of the quarter position at the limit highs. And then we trailed the last quarter back in at the value area highs, right? Because we suspected that if you were really bullish, the bulls would not let you get back into this level. And maybe like that was enough. Like, hey, you got in here and then we quickly shot you back out. And maybe that was it. But again, I'm comfortable with that long trade from 15 and a quarter up here into the 24.20s for average of 22, I think. Yeah, average is probably about 22. So the first limit was 23 and a half, and then the second trailed limit was 20. 3.5, so 1 3/4, 721 and 3/4 average. Good trade. I liked it. It works. All right, but I'm going to go rotate some laundry real quick, and I'll be right back. Alrighty. Oh, so you did break the 24s, motherfuckers. Oh, it didn't take much for it to, huh? And we got stopped out by 2 ticks. Oh well. Buyers stepping in, large orders, 21, 22 and 3/4, 28, 30, 25. So unlike the sellers at the bottom, I got trapped. These buyers are holding price for the moment. So the bullish theme continues. Buyers willing to step in a little bit higher here, hold prices towards the highs. That's why I don't like stepping away from the flow, because then you get like a little out of tune with it. All right, but it does look like the majority of the volume that comes in does lift or hold price for the moment. No signs of seller divergence up here. I mean, this doesn't strike me as like an imbalanced distribution, right? This just seems for the day, if you look at the TPO chart, like you are starting to see a normal shape take hold here. And given that the last 2 days, you could almost are definitely imbalanced days. Last 2 days have definitely been imbalanced, right? But the market needs to find value somewhere to use it as essentially like what becomes like a launching platform for future price rises, right? We need to know that there's an agreement between buyers and sellers somewhere up here before we can progress higher. You can't just keep on drifting higher, because what happens is late longs become very vulnerable, right? They become very um, adverse to price movements against them very quickly, right? If you're long at 33 or something, and like that's the essential high, like it goes to 33 and then comes back down to 31, like if you're long at 33, you're panicking. But if there was good structure here and you were long, you wouldn't be panicked as much, because you know that prices have held here before. Right now, you don't know prices will hold here. But the volume that came in still lifting price. All large transactions that we assume to be institutions, right? Because there are over 100 contracts each. That's a lot of money that they've been long ever since the trapping that happened at the lows. So no shorting this. Absolutely no intent. And more large orders. That's 31 3/4. One of them got absorbed. Right. So anytime you see this on the time and sales chart, if it's green, that means it moved price. It cleared out what was available and price ticked up when it's a solid green. When it's a light green like this, where it just has the green numerical values, that means it got transacted, but the price did not tick up, meaning there was more behind this. That's absorption. But you know what you don't see is large transactions hitting the bid right now. And why would you? The only people who are shorting this right now are those people with like a stochastic or an oscillating indicator saying that things are overbought right now. They're the only ones selling. Up until 30.50 for 100 contracts, someone sold right there. Pretty heavy. And as we progress higher, you can see like the volume at 15 is pretty good, and drifts off at 23. Now we're drifting off at 30. Like you can absolutely go higher and create like even a smaller distribution up here. But what that's telling you is that you're kind of running out of participation as we get this high this quickly. But markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. That's the old adage on Wall Street, is that markets can do crazy things despite everything that it's telling you. Right? Like all of this order flow is just absolutely bullish. The same thing. It is the same thing over the last couple of days. It's just been overwhelming order flow. That's bullish. Doesn't matter what the news narrative is. It's just the large transactions are lifting price. All the volume comes in is lift in price. Any attempt to lower quickly gets rejected, and the volume comes in, lifts price. Reading the flow is not hard. It's trading. That's the difficult part, and keeping your composure. And you get more flashes of seller absorption. But I mean, this has been flashing the whole way up from 710, right? You had sellers originally try to hold price down at 13, right? That's when we were short at 12 and a half. And then we just exited at market at 15 because we saw the flow and the absorption on the buy side and all the quick rejection out of value and all the buyers coming in. So we immediately changed our idea of what the market was doing. Then did a half position rather than a quarter short, did a half position long near the POC at 15 and a quarter and took that up to, we were targeting like the 24, 25 area. And got filled on a trail stop for a quarter at 720 and then the limit at 23 and a half. So it wasn't that bad. I'm a little unfortunate that like this dip came in and stopped us out within 2 ticks. And that's the trading part, right? We were 100% correct on the order flow and where things were going. That the market was going to seek higher prices, more likely than it was going to seek lower prices because it had just tested lower prices and it did not work. But you're not seeing flashes of seller absorption here, right? The volume that comes in is still mixed a little bit. Some of it's holding down price, some of it's lifting price. The last large sell was at 30 and a half. All right, you have absorption down by buyers at 27 and a half. It's kind of crazy. Crazy markets these days. I should probably have my news still open. Because crude oil inventories have come out. Actual inventories is a drawdown of 0.913 million barrels. So this is not even a million barrels. And we have forecasted a build of 2 million barrels. Not a huge miss. Yeah, crude's not reacting at all. It's still up 0.25% from yesterday, and we're at 91.50. Still elevated prices for crude. But it's not bad given the geopolitical risk that we have going on right now. I mean, to only be at $90 a barrel and the Strait of Hormuz is a big question mark, which is 20% of the world's oil flow. That's kind of crazy. I would think the risk premium for that would be much higher. I mean, we got up to $120 a barrel in 2022 under Joe Biden, and that was just bad economic policy that drove it that high. Imagine if you had that in addition to what you had going on with Iran, it would be like $175 a barrel probably, which would be unaffordable to everyone and would just destroy the global economy. But you see the buyers weren't as aggressive, I don't think, right? You didn't see a ton of volume come in at those lows of these last 2 bars. There's not like a big bubble of volume here that lifted the price. It's just like most of the volume's right here. And this over here is a little spread out. All right, so that's not like a chance to reload along here. It doesn't look like. And not that I would reload along here for like a quarter position and scalp towards the high. Because you're in a scalp like that short of a move, it's got to be a larger position. And you didn't like very quickly reject this area either. So I'll be curious to see what happens when we come back into value at the value area high. And then see if buyers are willing to step in there farther. Because the last time was at 26 3/4 where they stepped in with divergence. right? They started absorbing all the sells on the bid, and then somewhat took an initiative to drive it up to 32, but nothing crazy. And we'll see if we get repetitive absorption on behalf of sellers here. There's a tight range for a decent amount of volume, but sub 2,000 now. All right, if you stay in this range, and again, it's less than 2,000 contracts traded, we're going to quickly leave this area. Market will not be interested in transacting here any longer. If we're trying to facilitate trade, less than 2,000 contracts in 1 minute is not trade facilitation. That's not what that looks like. Yeah, so outside the seller stepping in at 30.5, there's been nothing since. Institutions didn't dip buy. They're not coming in to sell lower. It's just we bought some on the way up and then just left it. But so you see the number of contracts being transacted is just diminishing now in the same region. 19 to 17. If you stay here, it'll be even less. And price is going to move. And I think now it's likely to be down. Right? I think we now start filling in some of this range. I mean, what is now 32 and a quarter and 10 probably. Yeah. And that seems to be exactly what's happening. So a large seller stepped in there at 25. Then you saw the volume come in and lift price right here. So it could be even that the distributive range for the rest of the day is just like 21 to 32. And it just becomes this tight range here. Right? Because you're what you're looking for is clean ledges and edges. Right? The cleaner they are, the more likely it is that they are to hold. That means it's a complete auction, right? Interest here, a little less interest here, a little less interest here, a little less, and a little less, and a little less until there's none. That's a complete auction. So when you get this jaggedness in here, it's kind of saying like we kind of maybe didn't spend enough time here to make sure everyone fully transacted that at the levels that they wanted to. And so price becomes more likely to revisit this area. Does it always do that? No, it's just a probabilities thing. Right. But after the last 2 days action of the just, news flow and just trending up as much as we did, I mean, for a third day to be a trend day is a little abnormal. I don't know what the exact statistics on that are, but it's probably not very high. 3 trend days in a row doesn't usually happen. Like the best thing for markets and for bulls right now is to actually just find balance, create some structure here where everyone's comfortable, right? Sellers are comfortable, buyers are comfortable, and then use that as a launching platform to take things higher. But the longer you go on just doing this whole price discovery thing where you go to areas and you're not really building clean distributions, the more fragile things become. Yeah, so if this wasn't a very convincing low, to be honest with you, right? Because when we came down, where was the volume surge? Like right here, and it didn't really do a whole lot to reject price. And this isn't even that big of a volume surge relative to this volume right here. Right, you would have been. It's a quick rejection, sure, of value, but I would have expected more volume to come in here if buyers were really aggressive about it. And that wasn't just a ton of volume. And I'm mixed on what the case is now going forward. Is this now? I think this is just a balanced order flow now. Like this isn't like you're getting absorption on both sides. We're not having very wide ranges, right? It's very hard for us to stay in one little area and build up volume. We're kind of just drifting back and forth a little bit around these value area highs. Like this rejection wasn't very strong. So we could easily come back into the value area highs. The rejection off the highs wasn't even that strong. You could easily revisit the highs. So directionally, I don't have strong conviction either way. So we just positionally, you just remain neutral. Like if we were to come back, okay, let's make a couple of scenarios here. If we come back into the overwhelming flow of the orders today has been bullish, right? The sellers that came in at the lows at 11 and below all got trapped. Okay. And then we progressed to move higher. And the attempt out of value on the low side happened twice, and both times is quickly rejected. Are you quickly rejecting these value area highs? No, you are not. You're spending a lot of time in these value area highs and above the value area high, and you're not rotating back into value. And this was a somewhat quick rejection, but not the quickest. And that is the only one so far. So the bullish case is stronger than the bearish case. So if you were to go long, if the probabilities favor a bullish stance over a bearish stance, what would be the best case scenario? Would be this dip into value that quickly gets rejected, but you see a lot more volume come in and lift price. And then I would target the highs for a scalp, and then at least for part of it, and see if you can't break them. Because again, the strength up here on behalf of sellers has not been overwhelming. Like it's just not a pure amount of aggression. Like they're just reacting. As price comes up to a level that they're willing to absorb the buys at, they'll gladly give you the inventory there. But what they're not doing is selling there and then continue to sell lower. And that is the difference that drives markets, right? Between balance and imbalance is the reactive behavior versus the initiative behavior. And so sellers are more than willing to react here at 31 and above, but they're not willing to initiate and take it back into value and drive things back towards the value area low. They tried that this morning and it didn't work. And the reason why we didn't take a full position on that run from 15 and a quarter, or 15 and a half or 15 and a quarter, whatever it was, up to the 24 area is based off what where the value area low is and the amount of risk that we were willing to take on the trade. Right? I generally don't want to risk more than $200 per account on any one trade in a given day. And if we had added more positions, our stop would have gotten closer here to the value area low, right? Because if our entry average is around 15, 15 and a half, somewhere in here, I load a full position, the stop is 710, right? It would be very easy for the market to do a quick test out of value and then snap back in. And then meanwhile, you're left holding your jewels in your hand, like, well, what the hell? And then the market takes off without you. So that's why you can't load up on a full position with your average entry being 715. Our average entry was 712. Would I take a full position? Yes. Because then our stop is down here. I'm much less likely to get stopped out based off the quick rejections out of value that we had before we took the trade. So position size depends on directional conviction, but also where your price is and where you think volatility could take price and stop you out without negating what your trade thesis was. And that probably didn't make sense because it didn't really make sense in my head when I said it. So it just seems to be reactionary selling up here, right? But buyers aren't willing to really drive price out of this. You're just kind of a lot of time, what you call time acceptance, right? We spent a lot of time now in this area and just haven't gone anywhere. All right, there's a lot of time spent in this area. That's time acceptance, right? When you want to see where time rejection is, that's time rejection right there. You rotate into the area and you quickly rotate right out, right? You come in, you spend like 2 minutes down here, and then you quickly get out, and then you can't rotate back out. See how the market just fails to rotate outside the value area low? Whether or not the value area low was right here when this happened, I don't know, but that's how it tends to happen. You rotate out of value, quickly reject, and find your way back into value. And if you do that, you now test the other value area. Those are one of the highest probability trades. And especially when you get large order flow trapped at the lows like we did, like you just wish for a better average price, right? And then you can load up on a full position. And tomorrow, jobless claims at 8:30, industrial production 9:15, and that's it. And then apparently more war negotiations. Okay. Maybe the volume comes in at the highs and just suppresses price, but doesn't follow price lower. Some signs of absorption still. But I just don't think buyers are aggressive enough right now to take things out of this. Like he might drift a little higher and clean this up, but I don't suspect that we're going to be making any sort of major breakout. Because these volumes are getting kind of anemic up here. Or hanging above just 2,000. Right? You go 17, 19, 14, 22, 27. So there's a little more volume as you extended the range a little bit. So that's the last hope of this market right here, is to facilitate more trade on a slight range extension, find some more volume up here. But if you don't, it's more likely to find more volume down here in value than it is up here. Like as you drift higher, these numbers should get bigger if you're a bull. You should find more and more volume, more and more liquidity as you move higher. If you find less and less as you go, it makes a stronger case for there's more value or more volume to be found here within value. And it's always confusing interchanging the words value and volume, but they kind of both mean the same thing. So 10 minutes left in the trading session. Pretty successful day. Not gangbusters, but given what happened, no, we're good. I don't suspect there's going to be another trading opportunity here. I don't. All right, might get slight range expansion here, but this, yeah, I'm not selling this. All right, this is not a sell. This is wishful thinking up here. Because if this was a sell, you would have tested right outside the value area high and quickly rejected. You did not do that. We spent a lot of time up here. We have time acceptance. You're building volume, right? Seller divergence happens at higher prices, not lower prices. Is that not to say the price doesn't just drop immediately now down to like the POC of today's distribution, which is now all the way down here at 715? It could absolutely do that. But I don't suspect that happens. All right, sellers already got trapped once this morning at the lows and paid the prices for it. You want to try it again? Probably not. Probably not. And this could just be absorption ranges today, right? Because you had large transactions come in on the buy side at 30 and a quarter, 31 and a half, and 31.75. Right. That's all in this area right here. Are they now trapped on the buy side? Right. You had them trapped down here on the sell side below 711. Do you now just trap the buyers here, and then now you just fill in the range for the rest of the day with a bunch of volatility and back and forth and just chop. But I do suspect that we've seen the major price move for the day already occur, unless there's some change in the news flow today. Something comes out about Iran and just sends the markets in one direction or the other. But as of now, I mean, I think this is it. But who knows, right? If you fail to really break down back into value here and we're still holding up in this area where there was large transactions, that's not absorption. That's price holding, which means you could absolutely extend this range. But I think if you can't hold this area where the last large transactions are, and then you just dip back into value, you're going to remain there for the rest of the day. Yeah, on top of the TPO chart, I mean, it looks pretty clean, man. Looks pretty clean. I think you definitely could fill in volume around 20, below 25, well, below 23 to be exact. Yeah, you just can't hold this area. All right, pretty well rounded. Not any signs of buyer absorption up here, right? I don't think so. Nope. I mean, we got all the way down into the value area, and there was no signs of buyer absorption. But we'll see what happens over the last 2 days. The market has been kind of crazy, where like you have these stronger moves in the PM session, the afternoon session, where there's just the absorption is just relentless. Right, sellers try to take price lower, but then buyers are just there with the limit orders, just refilling. Prices moving lower, then it explodes higher. Like this happened twice in the last 2 days in the afternoon, or at least towards the afternoon, at least after my session concludes. Yeah, you look at TPO charts, happens during D. So that's like after 10 o'clock, right? Yeah. Say EFG. Yeah. All late afternoon surges. Who knows? Maybe it does it again. Maybe it does it again. And there you see the absorption on the buy side, right? They're maybe trying to hold this area. If you get enough absorption here, you get enough attempt to get back into value and you just don't, like, you're a very precarious seller here at 31s and 32s, right? Because the order flow is fighting. You are fighting the order flow if you're selling up here. You better hope you're selling up here because of liquidity reasons, not because directionally you think prices should be lower. Because nothing in this order flow is telling you that. Nothing. Like, you are not rejecting this area at all. You're spending a lot of time here. You're spending a lot of volume. Right? You're getting absorption here. This is what I'm saying. Like, what's potentially going to happen here is that you're going to keep bouncing off this 28 and 27s, keep on getting absorbed by buyers. And then you're the slightest move above here, you are absolutely out of your shorts, right? And you'll get the quick snap, right? The more pressure we build here, the quicker the snap. And we'll see if that happens again today. You can't break back down in the value, which you don't seem to be able to. Like, if I had more time today, I'm loading up a position right here. Right, this is one of the crappy things about how it is that I trade, that I limit myself to just an hour and a half. Cognitively, that's good. 90 minutes of pure intense focus, that's good. But in terms of sometimes what this market is now doing in the movements, where a lot of the stuff happens in the afternoon, where it builds up this pressure right before my trading session concludes, it just makes you want to change your entire schedule to fit around this. And it's like, I can't. I have children. I have other things I need to get done. So it is what it is. But I mean, I like this. I like this buildup of pressure here. Would this be a full position long? No. So what the trade is here is to potentially get in around 28, 27. Okay, stop somewhere down here in the 20s. Right, you want to be behind this structure here at 23. But you're not playing for the scalp up to 32 or 33. You're playing for a break higher. And potentially that's what you're going to get here, because the seller aggression has not been heavy and buyers have stepped in at a much higher price. And this becomes a very precarious position for sellers up here. They're not going to want to keep on doing this and fighting the order flow. The trend has just been up the last 3 days. Like, you're trying to pick a high now, like, best of luck to you. Institutional order flow has been buying. They trapped the sellers this morning. They're buying. And you want to step in front of them? Good luck, right? So yeah, absolutely. If I had more time, I'm low positions up here at 728. In fact, I would probably start with a half position. Not saying you should do this, but I'm saying that's what I would do if I had more time today. I try to get in here at 28 and then move to break even on a clean break, a good snap. If it just barely rotates above, I mean, that kind of negates the trade in and of itself. But a quick snap and potentially a retest of the highs gives you an opportunity to add more. But again, this is on the idea that it actually just snaps these highs, which it very well may do. You cannot rotate back into value. You cannot do it. So this is the market saying, hey, we actually think there's more volume to be had up here than there is down here. So I think that concludes it for today. I will check in later and see what actually came of this, whether or not the markets were able to pop. I'll be very curious to see. But I mean, that'll do it for us for today. We'll be back tomorrow, a few minutes before 9:30, and we'll take it from there. Hope you all have a great Wednesday. God bless you, and wish you all